Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the network training session. What is the highest skill level? Well, you'd probably come up with a bunch of different ideas, but I'm going to tell you that it's networking. You see, everything you need or want must come from somebody else, and everything important is always built with a team. 95% of an entrepreneur's new business comes from networking. And 95% of a new voter or team members come from networking. That is why you must become the best networker possible. So, who's the course for? Well, it's anyone involved in contacting other people to influence them. Might be a business owner, a salesman, a political worker, networking group member, women's club, nonprofit organization, and a plethora more. So who should never attend this course? Someone's looking for a quick fix, someone that wants to use you guys as prospects, or someone that's looking for a course with no work. When will it be conducted? Well, it's going to be on Zoom every Monday, 7 p.m. from tonight, August 14th, through September 25th, with the exception of the Labor Day weekend and September 4th. All business, politics, and life are about building a relationship. So, this course is complimentary. What would you pay to get a new customer or a new team member? In business, we call that the acquisition costs. Whether it's just a sole entrepreneur or whether it's a major corporation, it's very important to know how much has to be invested to get the results. Someone told me once that poor people think about the costs and wealthy people think about the investment. Giving back is the most important attribute a person can have. With 30 years of experience and training from top mentors in the world, there's information I can share that will help people begin changing their lives. You'll be asked to read books about networking. Most of them are available free from the library. You'll have homework that you have to complete from one week to the next. And this is in a webinar format, so it's not interactive as we go through it, but you'll be able to send me emails all during the course, and I will respond to those. And there may be some additional speakers too. So just a little bit of background about your speaker today. I spent 30 years involved in the networking and teaching networking and applying networking. I was with the BNI, that's the world's largest business referral organization, about 300,000 members. And I was the education director for the Houston area. We had 42 chapters and 1,134 members. I was also the columnist for Small Business Today magazine for a little over 8 years, and I focused on networking articles. And then every month now, I still continue with a event for Houston West Chamber of Commerce called PDN, Personal Development Networking. Oh, and I had a radio show that was dedicated to that also. So over the years, I received a title called the Connector. So this is a tentative schedule. What that means is it's subject to change. Tonight, we're going to cover some things like philosophy, community, and introducing yourself. On the 21st, we'll do the business networking and sex, not what you think. On the 28th, about storytelling and removing negativity. On September 11th, branding and giving presentations. September 18th is a unique one because it's all about questions. And on the 25th, we'll finish with building teams and where to go to network. Rather than being about hunting, networking is about farming, cultivating relationships. Refrain from engaging in premature solicitation. You don't want to say that too fast. You will be a better networker if you remember that. Quote is from Dr. Ivan Meisner, who is the founder of BNI and a New York Times bestseller. An interesting quote here because people laugh when you talk about the most important or successful thing is giving. But then again, most people are nowhere as successful as they wish they were. Bob Berg is a national and international best-selling author a number of times. The Go-Giver was the first book of his that I read. Years ago, I had a company called the Texas High Achievers, and I brought in speakers. They were all top speakers, everybody from Jim Rohn to Jack Canfield. I had Dr. Ivan Meisner, Bob Berg. This is a photo at one of the events where he was. So what is your philosophy when you meet someone? Let's say you're a door-to-door salesman or a block walker for a political campaign or trying to build a team, or you're just involved as a member of a networking group or at a business meeting. So what is your focus? If your focus is on making your point, we call that getting, or is it helping someone? We call that giving. You can have everything you want in this life if you just help enough other people get what they want. Famous quote by Zig Ziglar. People will notice a difference immediately when they see that your goal is to assist them. I want to talk just a little bit about community. We'll be covering that more in depth in other sessions, but every human being has a longing for a belonging. Today, we are more connected digitally than ever before, but seem to feel isolated and disconnected personally. More than ever before, people crave real relationships. True community requires a human touch, support, encouragement, accountability, create a phenomenal, successful team that works harmoniously together. So let's get into it here. When does networking start? Well, does it start when you see that person enter the room, or when they open the door after you've knocked on it? Or does it start when you make eye contact? Or when you shake hands? Or when you start talking? No. It begins when you wake up in the morning and you look in that mirror and you put on your networking face. Tony Robbins calls it peak state. Jonathan Sprinkles calls it position. It's all about your mindset. And whoever has the greatest belief will prevail. Have you ever watched how the heads turn when somebody enters a room? Now, it may be a beautiful woman or a handsome man, but there's something that draws your eyes toward them. You see, people make up their mind in the first few seconds whether or not they want to continue a conversation with you. And this could be on the phone or by email or text also. The same thing applies. What people notice most about you is your confidence. They want to feel safety, to feel secure with you and what you're asking them to do. So let me ask you a question. How does your dog know when you're going to give them a bath? You see, they spend their entire life eating and sleeping and playing and watching you. They learn your mannerisms and your words. So when you say, let's give the dog a bath, they dive underneath the couch. And your kids are the same way. They study their mother and they know when she's in the right mood to ask for a cookie. You and I are the same way. There's certain words that raise a red flag that says, he's trying to sell me something. They'll still be nodding and saying, uh-huh, but they'll be looking over your shoulder to see who they're going to meet next. People only want to know two things when they meet you or see you at the doorstep. Number one is if you can show them how to solve a problem that's been keeping them awake at night. And number two is you can show them how to increase their income. You are a solutions provider. So let's talk a little bit more about what you're saying when you're networking. I am John Doe, and I would like to tell you about my organization. We are the best group. We've been around for 69 years, and we have 12 different locations, and we can help you even though we have yet to learn your problem. This is a standard corporate spiel to say how great your company is, how great your products are, and how great you are. Remember about that red flag that indicated to them that you're trying to sell something? Well, what are the words that set off that red flag? They are I, me, mine, we, us, our, talking about yourself. Now, you do always want to have a script regardless of the situation. But let's say you're in a meeting and you're required to introduce yourself. Write out that script. And I'll show you how to remember it so you'll never need notes. Cross out the I, me, mine, we, us, our, and replace them with you. So here's a sample introduction. Gail Stolzenburg, business networking coach. Do you know how people have a difficulty introducing themselves? Well, some people know the magic words that keep the conversation going. What are they going to ask next? Some people know the magic words that keep the conversation going. Oh, they're going to say, what are those magic words? So we're at a networking function with all these people, and take me a few minutes to tell you, would it be okay if we got together and had coffee tomorrow and see how we could help each other's business? In the meantime, I'll be sending you a list of the top networking events in the Houston area. All you want is the appointment. You never, ever want to try to sell something when you're networking. You just want to add value and to help them. So go back and count the number of I, me, mine, we, us, and ours in my statement. Do you know how most people have a difficulty introducing themselves? Well, some people know the magic words to keep the conversation going. There's none there. All the time we've been talking about them. Let's look at it a little closer. Do you know how? That creates curiosity. It's just like saying, I just found out. And they want to know more. Do you know how most people Are you part of most people? I think so. So we have inclusion. We got curiosity and we got inclusion. So they're now part of this conversation. Do you know how most people have a difficulty introducing themselves? Now we've introduced a problem. Now, your problem is going to be a different problem than the one that I just used, but this is just for example. Now you've introduced the problem that most people have, and you have to give them a solution. So, well, some people know the magic words that keep the conversation going. And then pause. The pause is powerful. They have to say something. And of course, they'll probably say, what are those magic words? And now you're in a conversation with them and you're not trying to sell each other. Let's use the instance of block walking. You introduce yourself. I'm Gail Stolzenburg, local precinct chair. And then with some election information for you, you can almost see the sigh of relief. They answered the door reluctantly. They knew you were going to try to sell them something. And then they found out, oh, he's just going to give me some information. And then you say, congratulations on being a consistent voter. Not only is he going to give me some information, but he's thanking me. And then you ask, do you know how the crime rate has increased so much lately? Well, some people are working diligently, putting and keeping the criminals in jail. Would you like a sample ballot showing the candidates and see how they're working on that? I never remember being turned down from somebody when I was block voting. Everybody wants to know what's going to be on the ballot. The information's all sent out by email. So what is your best email? You never say, what's your email? You give them a reason for giving that email. And oh, by the way, sometimes I send it out by text. What's the best text number for you? So now you have their contact information. And you ask them one more. Do you know any neighbors who would like this information? Now, you can continue the conversation, learning more about that and building the trust and rapport and so on. But if you have any questions, you can reach me at the contact information on, I always give them the door hanger, whether they've answered the door or not, because it has more information for them. And now they know that they're going to get more information from me about the upcoming elections and the ballot and so forth. So what's the first question when you meet somebody? Isn't it, what do you do? Well, you never, ever want to use those words. When you say, what do you do? That gives them permission to tell you how great their company is, how great the products are, how great they are. And they really get into that selling mode. So rather than that, let me give you an example. Years ago, there was a networking organization called In Houston. Some of you may have remembered it. It was founded by Eric Stanley, and it was the largest organization in Houston, over 10,000 members. And at each meeting, there'd be 300 or 400 people there. So I attended a meeting because I wanted to meet Eric, and I'd polished my introduction, and I was ready to impress him. And I was also ready to receive a deluge of information back from him when he retorted. But you know what? He said, "Who do you want to meet?" Completely deflated me. I forgot all about my spiel. Here was somebody that wanted to help me. Remember the giver and the getter. You can use questions like, what's going to be your greatest accomplishment this year? They have to stop, they have to think, and you're getting them into a conversation. What's your claim to fame? Where else do you network? Start a conversation rather than a selling match. I want to tell you a little bit about mass texting. If you haven't been in touch with your team, your prospects, your customers in a few months, somebody else is getting in touch with them. Always send them an occasional text or share information of value. If you use your phone, you get voicemail and you play tag. If you send a letter, it takes forever to get there and forever to get back. If you send a email, only 1 out of 17 emails gets read. I know because I've sent thousands and thousands of emails, and I know what the response is. You're doing good if you get 1 out of 17. So the answer is mass texting. And with that, you can do photos, 1,000-character messages, unlimited contacts, unlimited file attachments, a smart contact importer, archiving, seeing who downloads your files, messaging, voicemail drops, call forwarding. You got an outbound phone number to use, and all for 3 cents a text. Studies show that 90% of your text will be open within 5 minutes. I send out thousands of texts, and I get responses from them. So I'm just encouraging you. There's a link, and I'll send it to you later also, but check it out. See if you start getting better responses. These are a good way to let people know, hey, I'm going to be calling you, and here's what we'll talk about. So it's all about building relationships. Your business, your politics, your life, building relationships. Stop talking about yourself. Givers versus getters. This gives us a pretty good recap of what we just covered. Building community. Everyone has the longing for the belonging. Always give a gift. I put out a number of newsletters, and so depending on the situation I'm in, if it's a business situation, well, I've got a list of networking events that I give to them at no cost. If it's in the political arena, I give them a list of events that are going to be happening where they can see the candidates and they can meet like-minded people and so on. If it's in the health and wellness business, I've got a list of all of the events going on that have to do with health and wellness. And also, be sure to say thank you. We learned about introducing ourselves. The most important thing in introducing ourselves is keeping the focus on them. We want to ask questions. They talk about the 70-30 rule, could be 80-20, but 70% of the time we're asking questions. Excuse me, we're listening. And 30% of the time when we're talking, we're asking questions. So important. Mass texting, we just talked about it. Networking starts when you get up. Curiosity, inclusion, problem, solution. Do you know how? Curiosity. Most people, inclusion, have a difficulty introducing themselves. Problem. Well, some people know the magic words to keep the conversation going. Solution. And always, always get their contact information. Ah, the homework. So, first of all, I'd like you to email me, Gail at GailStolzenburg.com, for the next link. You want to practice your introduction now that you know how to give it in different situations. And if you'd like to send it to me, I will be happy to critique it for you by send me an email. Your assignment includes reading Go Giver. This book is actually in a number of the schools, and they're using it for teaching kids how to be givers instead of getters. And then join us again on October 21st at 7 p.m. for lesson number 2. So during this 6-week new networking course, I'm going to be available for your questions. Now, response time, I say, is usually done within 24 hours. I'll do my best with that. Here is my email, the next session, and send me an email and I will send you a link to that next session. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being on the initial session. There's going to be 5 more exciting sessions for you to learn more about how to make connections work for you. Thank you.